Hello, and welcome to Handled-ish Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. This is episode 110. Oh my goodness, I'm loving these big intervals. Today, I want to talk about post anything, evaluation, and gratitude for increased productivity, part one. So, this week I want to talk about gratitude. Next week I want to talk about evaluation post anything. So, what is bringing this top of mind is I was teaching my students about this process yesterday. They participated in an amazing competition. They did great. They got second place. I'm so proud. This was a competition that they've been working on literally the entire year. There's several different components that you have to do, and then it culminates in a presentation. And I'm just very proud of them. And it was a whole thing. So we were doing what I'm going to talk about for the next couple weeks on the podcast. We were doing a post-competition evaluation and gratitude. So the reason I'm calling this episode Post Anything Evaluation is I believe that most things that we do deserve a little bit of evaluation. Obviously, the more significant the thing, the more detailed perhaps you want the evaluation to be. But even if the evaluation and gratitude piece takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I really think it's worth it, not only for increased productivity, but also for increased, strengthened relationships. So I'm a firm believer in this. This is something I work really hard to practice on a regular basis, both personally and professionally. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So we're going to start with gratitude. So here's what happened yesterday. So, went to class, and part of the post competition um, protocol is to share gratitude. And so I took my whiteboard marker and I said, okay, who do you need to thank related to this particular competition? And you can make this list two ways. You can start with like the most important people in said thing that you're evaluating, or you can just do it popcorn style as it comes to your head. I really encourage you to, write it down in some way or type it up so you can visually see the people that you are thinking about expressing gratitude to and or thanking, i.e. thanking, because it really helps to see it visually because then you can also see maybe, some folks you've forgotten. I also believe that you should look at this list again the following day because usually you will think of things or people that you forget. I would say probably best practice would be to keep a list as you are going through the process. I've done that before too. In this particular situation, we did not. So we were just brainstorming all the people that I believed and the students believed that they needed to thank for supporting them, encouraging them, assisting them, funding them in the competition. So we wrote all kinds of stuff on the board, and people are like, well, really? And I'm like, yeah, anybody related to this particular competition, I believe that you need to express gratitude to. And so we went through all of the things, right? From the administration that supported them, to the folks that put on the competition, to the faculty that did special things, to members of the community, also the folks who funded their ability to go to the competition. And a host of other things. And so came up with a very, very long list of, again, I'm writing on the whiteboard. And so then I had a student open up a Google Doc and put it into two categories, our list, and then also turn it into sort of an action item thing. In this particular case, there were two categories of people in the class, those who went to the competition and those who just worked on the project. For a variety of reasons, not everyone in the class was able to attend the competition, work schedules, just were feeling like maybe they didn't want to go because they had worked on it, but, didn't want to spend the weekend. Many, many reasons. All of them don't matter. The most important thing is there were two categories. The first list was people that everyone in the class should thank. And then the second list was everyone who went to the competition, because that list was a little bit different, right? Because that list had folks that the other people had never met or never associated with. And so we put together those two lists, and obviously there were duplicates, right? Because everybody needed, or I guess the presenters needed to do everyone above, and then they had a special list. And then, I had everybody fill in the email addresses for all of those folks. And so they had them. And I instructed the class to, write those emails over the next 24 hours. And I explained to them that speed is really important in gratitude. It is not essential, but I think the sooner after the thing you can send your notes of gratitude, the more impactful they are. Everyone is still having the emotions of whatever happened. They're still feeling good that it was successful, whatever degree of success that was. And, it's sort of fresh, right? And I think that the notes of gratitude are much more impactful if they do happen very quickly after whatever it is that you're thanking someone for. That doesn't mean that you can't do it a week later. Please still do, but I think if you can do it sooner, that is amazing. So we did that, wrote the email addresses, and I was just about to move on to the second part of the conversation when one of the students raised their hand and said, "Well, so this particular person that we're all going to thank is going to have, 32 emails in her inbox." And I said, "Actually 33 because I will be sending one myself." And he's like, "Won't that be too much?" And I said, "You can make an argument. However, I believe that I don't think too many people would be upset to wake up to an inbox full of notes of gratitude. Even if they were the kind of people that absolutely responded to every email they received that was a, non-promotion email, it would probably just take about 5 minutes. They could do a cut and paste response, cut, paste, send if they wanted to respond. And I think that would make, anyone feel very good. And I'm really having a good time thinking about the folks on the list and hopefully how much joy these things will bring them as they open up their email over the next couple of days. So, to summarize, because I know that illustration was a little bit long, I believe that after, anything that involves other people, and again, this isn't something that we practice 100% of the time because sometimes it is a little bit silly. However, especially if it's something significant, I think the first part of the post-mortem debrief, whatever you want to call it, can definitely be those notes of gratitude. I instructed the students to do it via email. You can also do it via text message. You can also, of course, do it via, written note, which of course is amazing. It does sort of reduce the speed aspect, but there's nothing wrong with that. And there are some people who feel that that is incredibly essential. I, of course, love it. I'm also interested in practicality and getting the job done in a way that I think is good. Um, so there's that. So that's the private part of the gratitude. And obviously, if you do it via text, you can use, different GIFs or emojis, and that's fun if you happen to be in that level of a relationship with the person. That's always nice too. So, publicly, you might also feel the need to offer gratitude. LinkedIn, I think, social media is a really good place for this. If the folks that you are thanking are in your world on social media, sometimes it's really nice to give folks a public shout out. Again, this was a very significant, very elaborate competition. And so, there are folks that the students and myself are going to be giving shout outs to on social media, public shout outs. Private shout outs are still happening. Private gratitude is still happening. But often it's really nice to do it publicly as well. Again, no one is really sad if there's a public thank you about them, floating around LinkedIn, right? So that is step number one. So have a deep, broad, wide, robust gratitude process. I believe in, really getting into the weeds as far as, the list of folks to offer gratitude to send those thank you notes. People, by and large, like to be appreciated, especially if they've put a lot of effort in for something that, you really benefited from, enjoyed, was significant, whatever it is. And that can be step one of the post anything evaluation and gratitude process. Next week, I'm going to talk more about the evaluation piece and handling feedback, particularly if it's not feedback that you are excited about. Also, how to accept how to accept positive feedback, all of those things. So we'll talk about evaluation. We'll talk about a fabulous process that I love called start, stop, continue. Um, and there's many variations of that, but there's a lot of things that you can do in a very short amount of time that will really help you moving forward. Whether it is that particular thing again, sometimes we do stuff regularly for a while or maybe for 20 years. Sometimes we will only do something once, but the lessons can still be valuable for different things that we do. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. But until then, write those thank you emails, write those thank you notes, write those thank you texts, and watch your productivity increase because your relationships are being strengthened. And you're just always looking for the good stuff, which I think makes us this whole life thing that much better. So have the most amazing week, and I look forward to the conversation next week, part two. And until then, remember, you are way better than you were way, yeah. No, you are also, you are, I almost said you are way better than you think you are, which sounds weird. You are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me. Take care.